Please, please go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this session. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Amit. So initially we had an idea to start this training for absolute, passed out candidates or graduates. Okay. But eventually we are getting messages from people who are experienced from other domains, backgrounds who are already working. So then we thought of starting this MuleSoft for absolute beginners. Okay, so thanks everyone for the joining this session. So we have planned initially this for every Saturday, because we don't want to, sometimes even we are working, right? So if we keep these sessions on weekdays, sometimes we may miss. So the real reason behind this is we don't want to miss this session. Even we don't want to skip that track. Okay, that's the reason we are having these sessions on Saturdays. Hopefully if things goes well, we can plan one more session during weekday or something like that. Okay, based upon your feedback. Okay, so this is MuleSoft free training for absolute beginners. Okay, this is absolutely free. All right. So today's session is all about knowing what is MuleSoft. So today I am not going to show you any kind of coding, okay, on hands. Today's session is completely knowing about what is MuleSoft. Okay, you'll be having more questions, right, before starting the session. So what is MuleSoft and all. We shall go through what queries you have and all right. So before that, I wanted to have some, prerequisites and FAQs that most of you might have. Okay. So first thing is, why only for absolute beginners? The reason why I was stressing for absolute beginners is we have both students and we have guys who are not from integration background or, coding background, Java background or some other backgrounds, right? So I should be able to make them understand the concept of what is MuleSoft and all. So throughout the sessions, okay, so my first priority is explaining in a layman's language. When I say layman's language, the person who don't know anything about technology or technical things, to make him understand, I will use some examples. So that's the reason I was like insisting this is for absolute beginners. So people who are already, I will see that people of experience 10 years and 15 years are joining this session. It may be kind of, not boring, but this is not more technical thing. Okay, I will be explaining things so that you'll understand the concept. Again, for the beginners, guys, whenever I explain some things using some small examples, don't take that things for granted. It's not the technical terms. I'm using some layman examples to understand. You should understand the concept behind that. Okay, then whatever we are giving the training, right, you should be practicing from your side. If you just listen or if you just watch the videos, nothing will happen. Okay, you cannot learn anything. It's not just MuleSoft. You cannot learn anything. So you have 1 week of time, right? That's the reason we are doing these sessions every week. Please do practice that 1 week. If you have any questions today, I am going to give some session, right? So okay, today I will be explaining about what is MuleSoft, what are APIs, and what is API led connectivity approach. Okay, just dig into those topics deeply. Okay, whatever I am giving you is kind of a heads up. So you have to understand, learn, practice from your side. The more you learn by yourself, you will increase your knowledge than listening to others. Okay. And do we need to know languages like Java, .NET? This is the frequent question that I am getting these questions in LinkedIn or some various platforms. Okay, so I'll tell you what exactly is MuleSoft in coming slides, but to be frank, I see people from background from Oracle admin or Linux or Unix or from QA background. They are now successful MuleSoft developers. So all that you need to understand is basic knowledge on what are web services or what are APIs, but you need not necessarily know Java or not .NET or any coding language. But it is always good to have some, multi skills, right? It's always good to have multi skills. It is always an added advantage. So if I say, no, it's not required, don't stop learning Java or .NET or any other domain language. Okay. Have multiple skills in your mind, that's always good for you. Next. So again, this is a question for me, like, I am from QA background or Linux background or some XYZ background. Can I learn MuleSoft? Yes, you can learn MuleSoft. And this is the best platform for you to start this. Okay, I'll try my best to make you understand what is MuleSoft or what is integration or what are APIs. Try to learn, try to practice, ask us questions. Okay, then I hope by the end of all these sessions you will be able to become a successful developer. All right, so this is the questions I'll get from many of them. What's the best CTC that I can ask? Guys, always CTC doesn't depend upon some specific domain. It's always depends upon your knowledge in that particular domain. So please do not ask this question in LinkedIn or any social media platform. What is the best CTC or how much can I ask? I have this much package. What can I ask? No, that is not the motto for this session. These sessions are only to learn MuleSoft. Okay. CTC, again, it all depends upon how good you are at in that particular domain, irrespective of MuleSoft or any technology. So what should we learn and best to know before starting off the session? Again, I said this session, we have students, okay, graduates, passed out graduates. We have entry level experience guys, and we have like, I just heard it's like 20 years experience guys, okay? So what is good to learn before this session is good to have knowledge on what are web services, but I'll still explain what are web services or APIs, what are APIs, what are web services, and what is an integration platform, what does integration platform means. So before understanding technically, right, try to understand the concept in a general way, then it will be easier for you to understand in a technical way. Okay, next, again, practice, there is no shortcuts. Many of them will say, I have completed my certification, can I start? Is it good to start searching for job? Okay, certification is just an added advantage, buddies, but it doesn't define your talent. Okay, why? You can see, like, we have like lot of guys certified in MuleSoft, right? But not everyone is getting job. Whenever he or she is attending an interview, he is not getting selected, even though he has done certification, because certification is not, it's just a criteria to understand like, it covers the basic concepts, but not the real-time exposure. Okay, so always practice makes man perfect. So no shortcuts, just practice it. Okay, efficient training details and all, I'll be providing this at the end of the session. Okay, we do have official MuleSoft training website. I'll tell you what to do after going through our slides. All right, so what is MuleSoft? This is the first question for beginners and people from other domains. Okay, and before saying this, we are going to mute all the participants. The reason is we have number of participants. We are like now close to 300 participants, right? So it is very hard to answer each of your questions, but at the end, I'll try to give 30 minutes of spare time to ask the questions. If not, we are not covering everything within 2 hours. We'll be providing you a link to post your questions. Any queries if you have, you can always feel free to ask. We are also there in LinkedIn. You can always feel free to answer. Okay, as this session is recording, we don't want unnecessary interruptions during the recording of this video. Okay, so what is MuleSoft? MuleSoft is a Salesforce company. So Salesforce has acquired MuleSoft a couple of years ago. So MuleSoft is a Salesforce company. Okay, I got a couple of questions from others like, I am from Salesforce. Is it related to MuleSoft? No, it is related only company wise. Okay, so MuleSoft is separate. It's an integration platform. So MuleSoft is an integration platform. When I say integration platform, right, what does, so again, every technical term has some general concept. Okay, integration platform, break the words and try to understand what is meant by integration. You are integrating one or more two things. Okay, if you want to make a tea, you are integrating milk, okay, tea powder, sugar and everything. So you are integrating it. In the same way, MuleSoft helps us to integrate different platforms. Okay, suppose you have a database, you have the data in a database. Okay, you have the data in Salesforce, you have the data in AWS. So MuleSoft helps you to connect to different systems seamlessly. Okay, we do have other languages as well. You can connect through Java, you connect to other integration platforms like Dell, Boomi, but why MuleSoft? Okay, because MuleSoft. What is the name of mule? What is mule generally? Mule is something which is born to a donkey and a horse, right? So all that mule, that donkey work has been, created. That framework is created by MuleSoft, where it is easy for you to code or, to configure things and get things done. Okay, that's the reason we are saying this as like the name is given like MuleSoft. Okay, so all the donkey words, you can see everything is kind of connectors. When you code, you will get to know. In coming sessions, we'll be coding anyhow. So you have like less coding, more kind of configuration. Even though whatever coding you have, so this is the frequent question I'm asked. I'm asked by everyone. So do we have coding? Yes, without code there is no software, right? You should code something. Okay, if there is no code, why folks are required to have this, right? So you have to so this is kind of coding where we will develop flows and all. It's like UI kind of thing, connectors and all, because so each back of this each connector, it is a Java code. So MuleSoft is basically built on Spring framework. Okay, this is the point I wanted to stress. MuleSoft is built on the platform of Spring framework. That's the reason all that's donkey work and all. Suppose if you want to connect to a database in Java, for example, okay, for the beginners, again, it will be a different thing. If you want to connect to establish a connection to a database, you need JDBC connection, all these lines of codes. But when you see in MuleSoft, you'll drag and drop a connector. It is just like a, Facebook login kind of thing. It will ask username, password, host, okay, library. You have test connection. You can test it then and there and click OK. But background, everything is a Java code. Okay, you no need to worry about that. So it is very easy. That's the reason MuleSoft has become a boom in the market. Okay, next thing is MuleSoft is more famous for API management platform. So what is API management platform? I'll tell you in the next slide. Okay, before that, what is Mule? Mule is the runtime engine of Anypoint platform, which is a lightweight Java-based enterprise service bus, and also an integration platform that allows developers to connect applications together quickly, easily. And so we are connecting for a reason, right? Why to connect two things? There is a reason, that is to exchange the data. Okay, that's what Mule does. Mule helps the developers to connect the applications. Again, application may not be a web service. Application can be a database service. It can be a Salesforce service. It can be an AWS service. Okay, it helps us to connect different services or different applications together in an easier manner, in a quick manner, and it enables them to exchange the data from one place to other place. Okay, that's what Mule is all about. Also, it enables easy integration of existing systems regardless of different technologies. Okay, now people are asking, I am from big data, is it good to learn MuleSoft and all? MuleSoft, please try to understand, MuleSoft is an integration platform that you will connect to big data. You will connect to JDBC, database. You'll connect to HTTP services. You will connect to ActiveMQ, the JMS queues, right? ActiveMQ or IBM MQs. So is when you're working with MuleSoft, right? Whenever you have, real-time experience, you will get to know about more services. You will go to know the basic understanding of, okay, if you're working on HFTC integration, right? Hadoop file system. Then you will get to know, okay, Hadoop file system is what the work which is doing by Hadoop is this one. Okay, Amazon Web Service, suppose S3 bucket. Suppose there is a logic which you are asked to place some files in Amazon S3. Oh, Amazon S3 is kind of cloud storage. So you will get more exposure to different technologies when you are working with MuleSoft, because it helps you to integrate different technologies that applications use. All right, this is all about what is MuleSoft. Now, in the previous slide, I have shown it is an API management platform. What does that mean? That means we can design our APIs using MuleSoft. We can develop our APIs using MuleSoft. We can deploy our APIs using MuleSoft. We can manage APIs. We can secure APIs. We can reuse APIs. So all these things can be done in one place. Okay, this is one-stop place. MuleSoft is a one-stop place where you can do all these things. Okay, we can design, we can develop, we can deploy, we can manage, we can secure, we can reuse. So all this, whatever infrastructure is required, is provided by MuleSoft. Again, for the beginners, guys who are graduates, when I say technical term infrastructure in software, infrastructure is nothing but, for example, if you want to construct a building, what is the infrastructure needed? You need cement, you need bricks, you need steel. So what you will do, you will buy from different shops, right? You will go to one shop and buy cement and steel. But if you have, if the same person is owning all those things, it will be easier for him to build his building in a smoother way, right? Instead of depending on different vendors. So likewise, infrastructure here means it provides all the facility, the platform to design, develop, deploy, manage, secure, and reuse APIs. Clear? So this is most important point you need to understand. Now, again, for business, these beginners or people from other domains who don't know what is an API. What is an API? So API stands for Application Programming Interface. Again, so whenever you are reading something, right, try to divide those words and try to understand it. So what does APIs does? Okay, it allows to communicate or exchange the data between two systems. Okay, when we say system, suppose we have a client. Client here means user. Okay, suppose you are just logging into Facebook platform. Okay, Facebook UI, facebook.com. You are entering user and password. Okay, server is the coding part, actual coding part or actual applications which we are building. Okay, client is user, server is some code that is already deployed somewhere. Okay, now what client or user does, he sends some request. Suppose I am entering username or password. Then what server does, it will accept the request, process it, and then sends back the response to the client. Suppose you are sending you are entering username and password. What your request is taken to server, your code, it will what internally it will do is it will go to database and check if your provided details like username and password are valid or not. If it is not valid, it will give a response saying that no, your credentials are wrong. If it is valid, it will give some success response and it will perform another action. Okay, so basically in layman terms, API is to allow communication and exchange the data between two systems. That system is client and a server. Whoever is requesting, he is called client, and whoever is processing the request and sending the response is called server. Server here you can understand, our APIs. Okay, so API is the mediation between this request and response. Whatever the mediation is done are done by APIs. Okay, suppose to understand more in a easier manner, again I said, right, my sessions will be like more kind of people who to understand in a non-technical way. Okay, take a restaurant example. Suppose we have a waiter, right? We will be sitting. So here client is our customer, right? So we will be ordering to the waiter, right? So he will give you a menu. So you will be seeing that menu and you will be ordering. That means the request is made from the client. Then what this waiter does, he will go into the kitchen and gives this order name. Then they will process the request. Okay, they will cook the food and all. Then they will serve the food. So that is nothing but there is a request taken from the client. They are processing the request. They are sending the response. Okay, when sending the response, you should understand, guys. Okay, beginners, you should understand that not always success scenario is called response. Response is always a response. It might be a success response or failure response. Suppose you have ordered some XYZ from the menu, but that is not available. If it is not available, will the waiter go to the kitchen and stay there? No, right? He'll go to the kitchen, check whether the item is available or not, and return back to the client saying that, sorry, the item is not available. That is a failure thing actually, but still he's responding to you. So always APIs or web services do have a request and valid response. Okay, you need to understand that part. If you understand this restaurant example, then you can, just imagine how APIs behaves. Okay, request, take the request, process it, send the response. All right. Now, what are web services? Okay, a web service is a way for two machines to communicate with each other over a network. Now there is a lot of, again, debate over what are web services and what are APIs. Both are not, mutually exclusive. It is like both are one and the same. But here web services are, even this are used to communicate between two systems. Okay, but it does require a network. It does require, when I say network, guys, beginners, When I say network, it requires internet in layman's language. Okay, it requires internet to communicate between two systems. Those are web services. Okay, so a web server running on a computer listens for the request from other computer. Okay, when a request from another computer is received over a network, that's why so a lot of guys will be asking the differences between web services and APIs. Okay, APIs with or without network, it is doing some logic there. Okay, but web services, it does require internet to communicate the data. Okay, so the web services returns the requested resources. This is about web services. Now, APIs versus web services. APIs and web services are not mutually exclusive, but every web service is an API. I said, right? API, it requires, like we have both things. Okay, it may or may not requires internet, but because it is performing some request, okay, performing some logic. But web services need internet. That's the reason I am saying every web service is an API, but not every API is a web service. Okay, APIs in more technical ways, APIs are the evolution of web services, as both purpose is information transfer. Okay, even web services or APIs, their both purpose is to transfer the information. Information means data. Again, beginners, for you to understand, when I say transfer of data, exchange of data, information, what is this information? Again, I given small example, Facebook example, right? You are entering username and password, that is information. Okay, you are sending that as a request. Backend, the code will go and check in the database has lot of data. Okay, your request, it will filter out, okay, there is a record here with the same username with matching password, then they will send back the response. Okay, this is called exchange of data or exchanging the information. Clear? Now, web services are basically of two types. Again, guys, just try to understand what are APIs and web services, but don't break your heads on understanding more. Okay, once you start coding and all, you'll understand what are these things. So web services are of two types. Okay, SOAP services and REST services. Okay, if you see, SOAP APIs are like largely based on HTTP and XML. Like these SOAP services are built like legacy APIs. Okay, those are all built on XMLs. But REST services, later on, REST services are the evolution. So REST APIs uses multiple standards like HTTP, JSON. There is no, so all this again for beginners, JSON, XML, all these are data types. Okay, don't get confused. In coming sessions, we will learn more about that. But understand, SOAP services are the services, means those are the web services which accepts information in XML way and returns the response in XML way. But whereas RESTful services, there is no restriction for the type. Okay, it can have JSON, it can have XML. So if you have time, even this is one of the prerequisite, try to Google what are JSON, what is JSON format, what is XML format. Okay, and as I said, SOAP services are request and response are in XML, but whereas RESTful services can be of any format. So SOAP uses WSDL and REST uses RAML. These terms, WSDL and RAML, I'll tell you in coming sessions when we are talking about designing of APIs. Okay, it's basically the modeling language which we write to specify the API. Okay, API specification. Again, those things I'll tell. Our next session is of designing APIs. I'll discuss more there. SOAP services usually are complex to understand, and REST APIs are user friendly. Okay, these are some basic, very basic differences, but you can just explore more when you get time. You have 1 week of time, explore more. Okay, now I want you to take to a tour to a website to make you understand what are web services or okay, APIs. Okay, let me, sorry, 1 second. Amit, can you see my screen now?
Yes, Ravin.
Okay, guys, so this, let us take an example of sample website, right? So I told web services and all are nothing but HTTPS. Okay, SOAP service or SOAP service or RESTful services, everything runs on HTTP. HTTP is the protocol. Whenever I say protocol, again guys, whenever I say protocol term for beginners, this is not for experienced candidates, but whenever I say protocol is a language, I can say, okay? Protocol is something where you can understand, like two systems. I told you, right? We need to exchange data from between two systems. Suppose I am a guy who is speaking Telugu language, and there is another guy who speaks Tamil language or some English. If I speak Telugu to a guy who knows English, does he understand? No. If he's speaking, suppose a French guy is speaking to me in French, I don't understand, because we don't have a common language between us. What is the common language? We do have only one language, is English. So if he is speaking and I am speaking in English, then we can able to communicate with each other. That's called protocol. Okay. So all the web services are on HTTPS protocol, HTTP or HTTPS. Okay. Let's take a website example. I told, right? Web services or APIs, whenever we are requesting something, there is some response. It's not that whenever you type something or username and password, then only it is called a request. No, anything which you are clicking or doing this thing is a request. You are requesting something. For example, I am clicking on sport here. Okay, that means I am requesting to get a sports news, right? When I click on sport, you can see immediately, guys, this is very, very, very important. If you are working on MuleSoft or web services, you need to understand this in real-time scenarios. When I click down sport, so https.www.bbc.com is called DNS, domain name service, till.com. But after that, whatever is there after this /, we call from now onwards, I will be using these technical terms. You should understand. We call this as resources. Okay. We call this as resources. Okay. So from today, we have 1 week, or from today, you need to observe each and everything whenever you are browsing on internet. Okay. When I clicked on sport, I got something like sport. That means I made a request. Okay. Backend code has processed and provided me this page. Right now, when I click on reel, you can see my resource name is changing here in the website. That means everything, guys, software is not human. Okay. What we code is what we see. This you have to understand first. So when I was in intermediate, I have this thing, it is working in my system. It is working for my friend. It is not working for some other, it is not working for me, but it is working for my friend. That might be because there is some reason. Okay. It's not that when Shravan is requesting it, they didn't do all these things. Okay. There is some reason. Everything, whatever you code will be seen on the website. Okay. When I click on reel, you are seeing the path is changing. So you need to understand these are called resources. That means everything is a logic over here. Okay. Now when I clicked on traveler, you can see there is something written. Okay. Travel is the path, and whatever is there after question mark are called query parameters. You need to understand. That means you are passing some information we can pass information in different things that we'll come to know when we are starting developing the applications. But remember, whatever there after question mark are called query parameters. Now again, when I click back news, you can see news is coming over here. Now let me do this thing. Okay, what I'll do is I will change something, the name of news to news. Okay, I'll change the name. Okay, what it is saying, 404 not found. Okay, 404 is the universal standard which we use for web services when you are not finding something. It is not just, if you are not finding the website, anything which is not found. Suppose you are requesting for something which is not there. The restaurant example when I have taken, when you're requesting for a menu, if the waiter is going to the kitchen and see that it is not there, then he will say it is not there. That means 404. 404, all these are called status codes. Okay, these are HTTP status codes, 400, 404. But you should observe that whenever, so that means what happened here? They have that this BBC, whoever these guys are there, they have coded only to perform the logic when you type news. Okay, whenever you click on news, you will display this page. Okay, whenever there is something which, so if I keep Shravan here, okay, it will say, sorry, we couldn't find this page, because they haven't coded for Shravan. So in coming days, whenever we are building web services or APIs, we will write the functionality for each path or resource. We call this as path or resource. So whenever I say, like, if I build an application which accepts Ravan as the request, then I can perform some logic. Suppose I'll say add, okay, then it should add. That's what you need to code for. Okay, these resources are unique. You should code yourself. Okay, when you click on home again, you can see it is going to home button. Again, if you click on any other thing, so try to understand. Okay, try to understand these web services, what I'm saying. When I click on culture, okay, the paths are changing and all these things. Now I'll give google.com. Okay, this is one of the best example I can give. Okay, now google.com, this is more famous, right? Everyone will be using. Now I will say MuleSoft. It's getting stuck. 1 second. Amit, can you see my screen or is it breaking?
Yes, it's there. We can see.
Okay. So when I click on MuleSoft, you can see now you need to observe even Google is not something different. Okay. It is also a web service. When you are searching something, what is the path name here? Search. So Google might have written a code for path search. Okay. Then it will display this page. Shall I change this some name? Okay. Over here. Like I'll give some other name. Then it will say not found because they haven't coded for this word, this search. Okay, that's the reason it is not showing anything. Here also you can see 404 not found. So what we code is what we see. All right. 1 second. My keypad is not working. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So now you should also understand that there is some MuleSoft here, right? There might be something they are passing here in the query parameters. Usually this will be like the query parameter for this will be Q. You can see here, there is something called Q equal to MuleSoft. That means they want to pass whatever we are searching in Q. That's how they have coded. Those are query parameters. Now, if I change that MuleSoft to some BBC World, right? Now you see in the search tab here, you can see that BBC World is displaying. That means, so nothing is, this is just UI, right? But the functionality is different. So whatever you search, they have some standards, okay? They will write the code like whenever some person is searching, it should go as a query parameter. That's how they have, built their API, okay? So if you change here again, Asia, you can see this here is automatically, it is reflecting. So Asian countries and regions, if I select this, you can see now Q equal to Asian countries and region. You have to understand so that it will make you easier to understand what are web services. This for experienced guys, it is very easy for them to understand, but this is for beginners to try to understand what are web services and okay. That's all about a small example on website. Okay. So we have completed walkthrough our website. Then API-led connectivity approach. So this is why MuleSoft has become more popular. Okay, guys, beginners try to understand. I know in very first go, you might not be understanding what are APIs and all, but try to understand in a layman terms, then you can imagine and you can just understand. So API-led connectivity is an approach, guys. When I say approach, or we can say API-led connectivity is the methodology. When I say words approach or methodology, then there is a question arises that do we need to really follow that? No. You can, so agile, right? People who are already working in agile environment, they'll say, if it is an agile, Shravan, if you're not working on agile environment, can't we build applications, right? Agile is an environment. There is a purpose that, the way we work, right? But if you ask me question, can't we work without agile? Yes, we can work. We can go with software model, the waterfall model, right? But it is why when we say approach or methodology, because it is a best practice which is always necessary to use across our applications or anything. Okay, whenever I say methodology or approach, it is for good, something good. If you ask me like, do we need to really follow, it's up to you, but if you follow, it is good. Okay, so API led connectivity is such one thing developed by MuleSoft. I mean the framework or methodology proposed by MuleSoft. So here in the previous screen, you can see API-led connectivity we are seeing. Again, most of you have this, even people who are having this MuleSoft knowledge, getting confused what are system APIs, process APIs, and experience APIs. Generally, this methodology, we are dividing these APIs into 3 categories. Understand in that way, okay? We are categorizing these APIs. Everything is an API, right? Every web application. Suppose I have clicked sports. So sports API, you're getting sports page. So everything is an API, but we are categorizing them. Okay. Like, you know, in cricket, we categorize, you know, people who have scored less than 30 marks or like 30 runs or 50 runs or 100 runs. Likewise, we do categorize APIs based on some things. What is that some things? We'll see here in next slides. Okay. System APIs. So first let's discuss about system APIs. 3 categories. This is the first category called system APIs. When I say system API APIs are built to connect through underlying systems. Whenever I say underlying system, that is a technical term. That means any system which contains raw data or direct data. Suppose you are directly working with a database, you are connecting directly to a database, then whenever your application, whatever code you are writing, that code is having direct access to database, then you can name that particular API as system APIs. Okay, this is just giving names to the APIs in general terms. Okay, whenever your code, if you are having a database or Salesforce, all these are contains raw information, right? Then those APIs are called system APIs. Okay, basically system APIs contains sensitive information as it contains raw data. This is pretty general statement, right? Whenever system API contains sensitive information or raw data, we'll say that as system APIs. All right. Next, should never be exposed for public use. Whenever you are building an API, you should not expose. When I say expose, guys, that endpoint www.soandso.com/your path, you should not give that to public use because it is connecting to sensitive information or direct contact with the data. Because of security purpose, you should not be exposed for public use. All right. Then example, what is the example? APIs which connect to asset, databases, Salesforce, SAP systems, Hadoop systems, where we are directly interacting. Means you are writing a code directly which is connecting to database. We name them as system APIs. Okay. Next, what are process APIs? Process APIs are built to compose or combine 2 or more system APIs. Okay, suppose you have 2 system APIs, one system API which is connecting to database, and 2 system APIs you are connecting to one other system API which you are connecting to Salesforce. Now you have a requirement, okay, you have a requirement where you need to combine the data coming from a database and Salesforce. Then you should create some other new application or new API which is calling these 2 system APIs, and you can compose or combine. This is another API which is built on top of system API. Those APIs are called process APIs. Okay. Usually to do any kind of transformation, right? When I say transformation, guys, again for beginners, transformation is you are having some hundreds of rows or thousands of rows with like hundreds. Suppose you have college details like ID, roll number, date of birth, mail ID, mother name, father name. But there is a requirement where you want to just know the candidate name plus his, the final result like passed or failed. Then you database also have all those details of the candidate. But do you really need all this? Your requirement is only to get person name and his result. So to do that kind of thing, we do transformation. This is again for beginners, guys. That is what transformation means you are transforming the original data, or to implement any kind of business logics, or to shape the data out of system APIs, we build process APIs. Okay, it may perform aggregation, splitting, or routing data. Aggregation means combining 2 data, splitting means dividing the data, routing means transferring from one thing to other, like, from Oracle to Salesforce. If you're doing such things, you can use this process APIs. Okay. Process APIs must be private and should not be exposed for public use, again, because it still connects to system APIs. That's the reason you're not going to expose these APIs. When I say expose, again, guys, that is like whatever you are building, right? The web services, the URLs that you should not be exposing that for public use. Example, as I said, aggregating the customer data and product data. Suppose your customer data is there in system API, your product data is there in some Salesforce. Okay. In that case, if you want to provide order status, right? Suppose you are placing an order in Amazon, right? When you are placing an order in Amazon, you are placing a product, but that product information is in some other database like Oracle database. Okay. Customer information like his address and all those details are there in Salesforce. Now, if you want to place an order, you need to combine these two things. Without that, the order cannot be placed, isn't it? Order should be placed. The product should be delivered to this address. Now I need to combine these two things. So those kind of operations and all you can do at process level APIs. So again, whatever APIs that we are building here can be named as process APIs. Okay. Then these are the final category of APIs called experience APIs in API-led connectivity architecture. These are the APIs which are kind of a wrapper either to process APIs if present or to the system APIs, so that clients and consumers can use it. Okay. This is like final level where you will give all those endpoints. Now you have seen bbc.com/sports and all those are experience APIs. Okay. Because they are exposed to us. Okay. Whatever happens internally, we won't be, suppose we are interacting with a database internally. Okay. For some reason, database is down. If I'm exposing my system API directly to the client, suppose our database is down because the password is wrong or password is expired. Now, when you're clicking on sports news in the web page, it will say JDBC connection is gone. Your password is expired. When you are a layman or you are a non-technical person or you are just user, what do you know about database, right? Other than IT guys, no one knows what is database. So experience APIs, what we will do is we will modify the data in the customer user friendly way. Okay. So these are the reasons APIs which are kind of wrapper. When I say wrapper, that means you are building on top of something. So here I am building on top of process APIs if present. Why I'm using that word if present? So this is also a question for existing MuleSoft guys who has this question. Do we need to really have process APIs and all? I will say if you have more, if you are interacting with more than one system API, if you have two applications, two system APIs, if you want to do something logic for them, then you build a process API. But if you have, suppose you want to display only customer information. So my customer information is there only in Salesforce. For that, you don't need to have a process API. Just you can have one system API, which is interacting with Salesforce, expose it as an endpoint. Then on top of it, directly use experience API, build a wrapper on top of it so that you won't have direct access to raw data. Okay. So experience APIs are such kind of things. Okay. Next, client and consumers will not have exposure or contact with the direct raw data. So these are the experience APIs that we are exposing to clients and consumers. We can have minimal data transformation like final result to be in JSON or XML or whatever. In general example, if you take Amazon app, right? Website, the web, if you are logging through the desktop or your computer, the view and the view and all is different. Okay. The way it displays the data or it shows the products is different from what is there when you open your mobile application, right? When the product information which is displayed when you see from website view is different from what is there in your application, but both of them back end the data is same. Okay. So, but the view is different. So for such kind of things, you need to use experience APIs. Remember, if there is, this is very, very, very important, and why it is famous is, if there is any change in system API, we do not need to modify or change anything in process or experience API. Suppose, as I said, if there is any data, your database password is expired, then suppose, suppose there is no system or process or experience, there is only one API. You are doing all the logic, everything in one code. Okay. You are exposing the same thing with the website to customer. He will open that. He will see, okay, database is expired. What is meant by database? What is expired? He'll be in a shock. But in case if you are building a system API, in process or experience API, you can modify your error handling saying something went wrong. That's the reason in websites, if you see, whenever they say something went wrong, that really went wrong something in their code. Okay, that's the reason it is showing something went wrong. Okay, that's the reason. If there is any database change or password change, if you just change the password in system API and if you restart it, that is enough. So we are not going to modify any process or experience API. You are keeping that code as is. Okay, that's the advantage of these APIs. System, process, experience are part of API-led connectivity approach. Clear, guys? So now I'll try to. So this is the example which I have created to make you understand the concept. Okay. For example, we want to book a flight. Okay. Understand that part. This is a flight booking thing. Okay. You are building, again guys, beginners, when I say API, that is a code, that is a logic which I am building. You have to understand in that way. When I say flight API, that means I am building some logic. Suppose I have flight information, like all flight names, all these things in database. Okay. Flight information and all. So when I say flight APIs, that means I have created an API which accepts the request whenever someone is sending the request to get the flight information. I should be giving the response to them. That's what flight API. Next, I have customer API. Customer API, I have all those, assume that I have all the customer data in Salesforce. Okay. So guys, again, for business, we can keep data in different platforms. That's what this database Salesforce or AWS means. Okay. It's all about the business or the money and the license. It depends upon them. Okay. You can store the data in database also. You can store the data in Salesforce, but it's all about the respective things, added advantages, pros and cons, and money and this. Okay. Don't get into that things, but so flight information you are having in database, customer information you are having in Salesforce. Notification API. When I say notification API, suppose when you are booking, right? When you are booking something, you will get a mail or WhatsApp alert. Okay. I have that logic implemented in notification API, and I have a payment API. Without payment, you cannot process anything, right? So consider that I have 4 applications now. In layman terms, I have 4 projects. In general layman terms, I have 4 codes, separate codes. Okay. Each one is exposed as a API. That means it has a URL. Whenever I say www.xyz.com/flight, it will give flight information, /customer, it will give customer information, like that. Okay. Now, all these things are, if you have observing, it is directly connecting to raw data. Database is a raw data, Salesforce is a data. When I say Visa, right, that means the Visa company might have exposed API for payment. Okay. All these are called system APIs. Okay. Now, I want to do a process payment now. Okay. For process payment, what do I need? So process payment, I have pre-booked flight status. I have another thing called, one second. I'm not seeing this. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. Now process payment and book flight status, send notification. Now I have 3 functionalities to implement. Okay. First one is process payment. To process the payment, what are the things required? I need flight information, because which flight I want to go, whether it is Air India or Emirates, I need to check. Next is customer information about myself. Then I need to do a payment. With these 3 things only, I can do the process payment, right? So without flight information, you cannot process the payment. For what flight you need to do. So now what I am doing is, this process payment is an API where I am gathering the data of flight, customer, and doing payment process. Okay. Then I can have a successful payment. Then what is the second logic I want? That is pre-booked flight status. That means I might have already booked the flights. To know those things, what are the minimum details I need? One is flights, for which flights I have booked already. Second one is the customer, about myself. Okay. Now to send the notification, I can use this, I can call this notification API. Okay. All these are called process APIs. Now to do a process payment, you need to gather information, means you are calling flight API, customer API, and process payment API. These three things, the information you are using, and you are making a successful payment. Now I have, this is experience layer, which I am going to take. Either you need to book a flight, you need to see what are the offers present in the for the customer, and you need to check itinerary status. Suppose you have an application, mobile app or a website, okay, where you want to book a flight, or if you want to see what are the offers you are having, or you want to check the itinerary status. Whenever I say itinerary status, that means you know, on which date I have booked, and all those details you will be getting for itinerary status. Now tell me, of course you cannot tell because you are on mute. Okay, to book the flight, we need process payment and notification. So whenever I am booking the flight, I am doing the payment process, and then after successful payment, I am sending the notification either in a mail or WhatsApp. But internally, what is happening when you are clicking on book flight, it is calling process payment API with send notification API. Internally, again, process API is calling flight, customer, and payment API, clubbing the information, doing the payment process. Then after successful payment process, it is going to send notification API, and finally your flight is booked. Now, when you click on to check the offers for a customer, right? What you need, what is the basic information you need? You need to check what are the flights you have booked for previous things, because if based upon those details only, right, you can see your offers. Okay. Then if you want to know the itinerary status, means current booking status and all, you can have pre-book. So for which travel you want to check, so you need pre-booking flight status for that, and send notification because you want to send your itinerary to mail ID or WhatsApp, whatever. So all these things are called experience APIs, guys. So this is the concept of API-led connectivity approach. Try to read as many examples as possible, but I hope I try to explain in very general terms. Even the real-time scenarios, when you click on, it's not so easy to build an application. You might be seeing, oh, this app is crashing, this is not working. Okay. Every click on each on every click, clicking on book flight, clicking on check status, clicking on itinerary, there are a lot of things happening on the back end side. Imagine if there is no API-led connectivity approach and you are doing each and every process in single application. See how those arrow marks are there. It will be very tedious and, you know, tightly coupled. We use that word tightly coupled. Okay. But if you are constructing these APIs, you are dividing these APIs into separate APIs. And if you do, so now suppose there is a, you know, suppose visa is down. Okay. Payment process is down, right? You can say to the customer saying that something went wrong, or if your bank amount is already detected, but there is something went wrong from visa side, what you can say is, you can show to customer like, okay, your payment process still takes 45 minutes of time. Internally, you have some retry logic to do all those things. Okay. That's how a real-time API-led connectivity approach works. Okay. So that is all about API-led connectivity approach. What is MuleSoft, what is API, and what is web services. Now, Anypoint platform. Anypoint platform is the product of MuleSoft. Okay. What does Anypoint platform has? Okay. It is a basically it has a website. What can Anypoint platform? What does Anypoint platform gives to us? It is a one-stop platform for APIs and integrations. That means we have in API platform, we have something called design center where we can design and develop our APIs. We'll come all these things. Okay. This is our agenda for total MuleSoft sessions. Okay. This is the clear and one-slided agenda, which we are going to cover in all of this our session to become a MuleSoft developer. Okay. Design center where we design or develop APIs. Anypoint exchange, it is the place where we will be able to share or discover APIs and reusable assets. We'll understand more when we dig into deeper. API manager, it helps in managing the APIs by invoking policies. Suppose you are having a website where you want to restrict this, you know, with some username and password. Not everyone wants to log into that website. If you can have some policies like basic authentication, all these things, we can achieve that using API manager. Runtime manager, this is the place where where the cloud of applications are deployed. Okay. Next, access management, we can configure the access permissions within the organization. Okay, all these kind of things are called access management. Next, endpoint monitoring visualizer, all these are like, you know, you have some APIs built to monitor how many requests are coming, how many requests from which place it is coming. Okay, what are the success requests, failure requests, all you can use, make use of endpoint monitoring and visualizer. And we have secret manager, where you can store or control access to private keys, passwords, any certificates, you can place it in secret manager. So these many things are provided by MuleSoft. Okay, many of them will ask me why we want to go to MuleSoft. Okay, this so and so platform is very cheaper than MuleSoft, why we need to go to you? This is the reason. You don't need to go here and there for different functionalities. Everything is one stop place for APIs. Okay, you can perform everything right from design the APIs till managing and tracking and monitoring. Everything is given by MuleSoft. Okay. Next, prerequisites and FAQs. Guys, this is all about today's session. Okay, so one second. This is all about MuleSoft and all. Okay, before that, I want to show you more things. Okay, training and certification program platform. What is the training and certification platform? I would like to request you guys to once go through. So remember this, training.mulesoft.com. MuleSoft provides the best training platform, training.mulesoft.com. You have both free and paid training sessions. Okay. What I would like you to suggest is, this is training and platform. Okay. If you go to click on login, you have two options. I discussed about Anypoint platform, right? I'll show you in coming slides. Okay. Training, this is training path. Click on training. Okay. It will ask for your username and password. If you don't have, you have to sign up. Guys who are beginners, who are not working in any organization, you can use your Gmail to log in. But people who are already working, I ask you to, it is best way to make use of your business email ID to log in, because there are sometimes where once you complete your course or certification, there are chances, if you are lucky, you will get a certification voucher for free. Okay, so try to use business mail ID as much as possible. People who are not working or beginners, please try to use gmail.com. Okay, so once you have created your account, once you sign in, I'll show you. Okay, so this is my training platform. This is how it looks. Now, most of them are asking, Shravan, where to start my training? Apart from our training sessions, if you are going to register for this course and start learning, then it will be easier for you to understand my training course. Okay. If you click on courses here, there is course format, self-paced free course. Okay. Click on this. You will see what all free trainings are available. I would like you to go for this thing. Okay. Anypoint platform fundamentals, development fundamentals. This is so there is another thing also, Anypoint platform development for Mule 4. This is for Mule 4. Okay, guys, Mule 4 and 3 are like runtime versions. Now latest runtime is Mule 4. That's the reason I would like to request you guys to start off with Mule 4. Forget about Mule 3 if you are starting newly. Okay, Mule 3 is previous version. Now there are a lot of differences between Mule 3 and Mule 4. I will tell those. So I'll tell those things in coming sessions. Okay, what are the differences? How, like, it's like some coding differences, nothing more than that. But everything Mule 3 and Mule 4 still people are using to build web services or all these things. Okay, when you click on this, this is a 5-day course, so free training. Just register for it and go through it. Okay, it will always be easier for you to understand more. Okay, you need not wait for my class for ending of the session. I'll tell you in general. So this is like more kind of technical way they will explain. I'll try to explain in a generalized way. So whenever you encounter any doubts, you can feel free to ask. Okay, this is your course training and platform place. When you see certifications, okay, you have both developer and architect level certification. Again, try to understand or concentrate here what I am going to say. There are two certifications. Most of them get confused. MuleSoft Certified Developer Level 1 Mule 4, MuleSoft Certified Developer Level 1 Mule 4 Delta. This Delta certification is for the folks who have already completed Mule 3 certification. Okay. So people who are from Mule 3 background are already having exposure on Mule 3 and got certified in Mule 3. It is for them. Okay. So their exam is 75 minutes because there are very less questions there. And for the new users, people who are learning new, this MuleSoft Certified Developer Level 1 Mule 4, this is what you need to go for. Okay, you need to opt for this certification. It has 60 questions. You have 2 hours of time. Okay, but both first one and second holds the same priority. Okay, nowhere it is less. Okay, both holds the same priority. Again, you will have all these certification architect level things, but I wanted to concentrate on only these two things. To be frank, let me concentrate on this MuleSoft Certified Developer Level 1 Mule 4 for beginners who don't know MuleSoft or who are planning to learn MuleSoft. Okay, and again, another question which we get is, Shravan, I need a free voucher, or do we get free vouchers? No, there is. So there are some times where they used to give free vouchers because like during some at one point of month or something like that. But this is a $250 certification. Okay. But if you need a free voucher, what you need to do is, MuleSoft community is organizing MuleSoft meetups. Okay, meetups.mulesoft.com. If you go to meetups.mulesoft.com, please register there as well. Okay, you have 120 groups across world. Okay, you have for different cities. Okay, you have online meetups. Due to this pandemic, there is separate thing called online meetups, of course. So previously all these things are in-person meetups. Now we are creating virtual meetups. Okay, even if you take Asia, so all these things, first you register, then enroll to specific local meetup groups. Okay, so these meetups are the place where we discuss things, some topics, technical topics for beginners or experienced things. Okay, if you attend these sessions, there are chances like where people will conduct you quizzes. Okay, when people conduct quizzes, there are 3 lucky winners who can win a free voucher, both training and certification. If you're so, what I would suggest is, please again, don't register for these events or attend these sessions just for certification. You should attend these sessions to gain knowledge. Okay, one or the other way you will clear the certification by buying the voucher or whatever it is. But gaining knowledge is very important. Gain the knowledge and win the sessions. Okay, win the quiz, then you will get free vouchers for that. Then you can attempt your exam. So register for meetups.mulesoft.com. Clear? Then Anypoint platform account. Okay, I don't want you to create that account now itself because it is of 1 month trial. Okay, still, so you will be registering with, if you click on sign up, you will be registering with a mail ID and username. Okay, after 1 month this trial account will expire, but you can create the same account with the same mail ID with different username. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay, with different username with the same mail ID, you can create it after a month again. Okay, but I would just want you to show you how Anypoint platform looks like. Okay, guys, this is Anypoint platform. This is the product of MuleSoft, which does a lot of things. I told it is a one-stop place for everything. Okay, we have, if you see here, Design Center, Exchange, API Manager, Runtime Manager, Partner. So we have many features, but we'll be more concentrating on Design Center, Exchange, API Manager, and Runtime Manager across our sessions. Okay, Design Center is used for designing or developing some basic flows. Exchange is the place where you can show all the assets. I'll tell you in coming sessions. Okay, API Manager, Runtime Manager. This is what your Anypoint platform looks like. Okay, then MuleSoft 3D is something with the term I have given to it. So when I say 3D, right, that means design, develop, deploy. Okay, you can do all these things using MuleSoft. Okay, MuleSoft community, as I said, meetups.mulesoft.com. Please do register for this. And there is another event called MuleSoft Connect, connect.mulesoft.com. Please do register. That is like yearly event. Previously they used to conduct like it's kind of carnival, but due to pandemic situation, they are creating it virtual. Connect.mulesoft.com is an yearly event. Find your region from which region, either you're from European region or America region or uh, JPAC region, registered for those events and learn more about things. Okay. Where I am. All right. So MuleSoft blogs and many more. I am just trying to show you what all things are provided by MuleSoft. Okay. blogs.mulesoft.com. So you can see many white papers, e-learning, everything in MuleSoft. So all these things, information, news and all. Okay. Oh my God. I can see my picture. Wonderful. Okay. So all these things you can find in blogs.mulesoft.com. All right. So next thing is, one of the tips is learn from errors. From next session, and all my sessions from next session, this is all about introduction, right? From my next session, everything will be like practice session, hands-on session. Okay. So if you are getting errors, that is very good. Learn from errors. Suppose if you are not getting error, then you won't be able to help the other person because you don't know, you never face that error. How can you resolve, right? So learn from errors. Okay. Also, connect to us through LinkedIn, or we will at the end of the session, Amit will say we'll be having in SFDC Panther. I can show you. Okay. In this website, at the end, you will be having one form to fill your queries. Okay. Let me see where it is. Yeah, here for any queries, you can just give your details and write your queries. If we are not able to answer your questions, you give your mail ID and ask your queries. We are always happy to help you. Okay. We are also in LinkedIn. You can always connect. All right. Or if you have any basics, even if it is a small silly question, go to help.mulesoft.com, search for your question first. If your question is not there, then you try to create your question. You will get an instant reply within an hour or two, because MuleSoft community is very large. Like you can see here, 52K members are there here, and over 30,000 questions were asked. So feel free to ask your questions. You can search your question over here if it is not present. Even like, my studio is not opening, my tool is not opening, or, I am getting this issue. Very small question also, try to shoot out in helps.mulesoft.com. Community is always happy to help you. All right. So in case if someone has missed your session, we are on YouTube. Okay. MuleSoft Tech Zone and SFDC Panther, in both these channels, our recorded video will be placed. Okay. So subscribe to our channels to get more information. So this will be session 2 for our coming Saturday, designing APIs, which will be very interesting. Coding means don't get into this thing. Okay. It will be very fun. MuleSoft has very less coding. Even whatever coding is there, it will be very easy. You will see that of, taste when you taste it. All right. Clear? Okay, we are 6:10 now. I think so. This is all about introduction to MuleSoft and all. Again, guys, don't be in a perception that MuleSoft is used only to build web services or APIs. No, MuleSoft does everything. It will do ETL things. Okay, it can do batch jobs. It can do scheduler jobs. It can do what all can Java can do. Okay. Suppose web services means it should have some website, right? HTTP dot all these things. But suppose if you have a logic where you want to place your files from one folder to other folder, that doesn't require HTTP protocol and all, right? Because it is not a web service. It is a logic where you want to place your files from one folder to other folder. You can do that. You can achieve that using MuleSoft. Okay. Or there is a requirement where you want to place your files which are present in SFTP. SFTP is kind of a file system in server location, to place those files in Amazon S3 without anyone's request daily at 2 p.m. So you have this requirement, Shravan, I need these files from SFTP to move to Amazon S3 daily at 2 p.m. IST. you can build that logic, you can create that application using MuleSoft. It's no, so don't be in a perception that MuleSoft is only for APIs or web services. Okay, even this is called API, okay, application programming interface. Okay, I was asked a request saying that, you need to place these files from here to here. I am performing that logic. Okay, MuleSoft can do more. All right. So, well, that's all from my side. Amit, you can stop recording. I can take questions now.